Okay, I'm here with Matt Follett, who is a designer on the new Need for Speed Most Wanted. Thank you very much for joining us.
That's great.
Firstly, what can you tell us about your job as a designer? You've been telling me you've been at EA for 12 years now. Tell us a bit about your role with other games and what it is you do day to day.
I've been specialising in areas such as the vehicle handling and setting up the AI difficulty. In Need for Speed Most Wanted, I had the enviable task of choosing the cars and trying to set up the handling. We've got a great team that helps out with that. And currently I've been working on the single player, just trying to figure out what sort of events can we put into an open world racing game. And that's been keeping me pretty busy, I must admit.
Okay, so tell us a bit about those events.
Yeah, sure. So we purpose-built the world for racing, chasing and exploration. So the races can take place on the road, and being an open world, it can take place off-road. The road networks have been purpose-built by our world team. They've done a great job, so they enable us to have a variety of types of racing. So you'll see circuit racing for the first time. It'll have laps. We don't have chevrons though. We've tried to make it so the roads have a natural flow. Obviously, it's easy for a player to turn at a wrong junction in an open world, so we try to make that as easy as possible. But you will see difficult turns like hairpins and chicanes that we know that the racers love. We also have sprint races, which are like A to Bs across from one side of the map to the other. Again, there's a nice flow to these, and it feels like you're going on a journey. You know, if you're not doing laps, you're trying to get somewhere. It's a unique opportunity. And then finally, we have obviously there's off-road, so they can be a bit more chaotic. Being off-road, you know, the cars can be bouncing around a lot more. You've got jumps, you've got smashing through gates, joining the traffic and then jumping out of them again.
Sweet. All right, so being an open world title, obviously there's an overall narrative to the game. What can you tell us about that?
So obviously in the original Need for Speed Most Wanted in 2005, they were famous for their story and their characters. We're not making a sequel, so for us the characters are the cars, and the story is what you do in them. In the single player, you will be working for a blacklist. And it's similar to the original game, but the blacklist is made up of the coolest cars that we have in the game. You'll be working your way through events to unlock them, and they become available in the world, and you'll have to find them, chase them and shut them down. You'll have to actually physically smash them off the road to beat them. Every time you do that, you move up the blacklist, and it gets harder and harder. You know, you've got a variety of cars, small cars, which are going to be hard to follow. They're going to be able to lose you in the alleyways. Then you've got big cars, they'll probably come straight for you. And it's like, how do I shut down these big cars? And then later on, we're working our way through the final car. I don't think I'll tell you what that is. That's a bit of a surprise. It's actually my favorite car in the game.
Ooh, all right, can you tell us about some of the other cars that you've got in there?
Yeah, so it's an open world driving game, and we really wanted to emphasize the idea of freedom and choice. And it's not all about going flat out at high speed. You know, we do obviously have supercars and sports cars and muscle cars that you've come to expect, but when you're making a game which includes other things such as chases, being chased by the cops, or just driving around and having fun, you know, jumping through buildings, we wanted a variety of cars. So we've gone all the way from the lightweight track specials, like a Caterham or an Aerial Atom, which are great for darting in and out of traffic, all the way through to SUVs, like the mighty Ford Raptor, which are about to punch through roadblocks in an expected Criterion carnage fashion.
Oh, that sounds mint. So how about things like damage? How have you decided to approach the whole damage thing in an open world? Obviously, I suppose, what happens if you have a crash right out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, so it's a Criterion driving game, so obviously there's lots of crashing, not only because there'll be other racers trying to force you off the road or the cops trying to bust you, but just driving around the world at high speed, trying to drift sideways, inevitably you're going to run into a wall or a lamppost, make a wrong turn. Your car does take damage. It gets dirty over time. We're really proud of the way the cars look and the way that they crash, the way the bits of the bodywork sort of hang off, and obviously your car takes damage up to a certain point. If you take too much, you will wreck. But luckily, you know, it's an open world driving game, and we've looked at what we've done before. We've placed these repair shops around the world, and it's an instant. You know, you find them, you drive through them, and your car will repair. They'll also change the colour of your car, so we don't like the idea of too many menus in the game, so we make it very easy for you to keep in the game and repair your car, change the car colour, and then continue with whatever you may want to do.
All right, sounds mint. Okay, what about things like natural boundaries on the edge of the open world? Are people going to be hitting invisible walls, or how does that all work? If you're allowed to go off-road, how do you stop the player from breaking the game?
Yeah, so we're clever like that. We haven't got any, although at the E3 here we've actually blocked off a part of the world. We've already blocked it off to 2 of the areas, if we have such things. We have around 6 areas of those, and the world is the biggest we've had so far. So imagine the size of Hot Pursuit, but with the density of gameplay of Burnout Paradise, you know, the multi-levels. So you won't actually run into any invisible barriers. We've tried to remove them. As I said, in the racing, we don't have chevrons. We have a nice flow, and we use checkpoints to keep you on course.
All right, what can you tell us about the multiplayer aspects?
Yeah, so again, we don't like the idea of menus, so it's very easy for players to, when they turn on the console or their PC, they can see if their friends are in the game and they can quickly join them. So their friends will be driving around in the open world, no lobbies. We hate the idea of, you know, I want to play the game, I don't want to be staring at menus. I want to be in there driving my favourite car. So I see my friends drive in, I'll join them, simply by pressing a couple of buttons, and we're both in the same open world together. And then the game will actually serve up gameplay based on who's playing. So you'll be driving around and it'll say, right, meet up at the pier. So you're racing to the pier, even getting to the pier as a competition. First to the pier, get some points. When you've all arrived at the pier, we'll have a countdown. And there's a cool full start system. If anyone tries to sort of get a head start, we'll actually force the handbrake on for a few seconds. So there's always a jostling for position and trying to get the best start. Then they'll do the race, and when the race is finished, they're back in the open world. Again, no going back to menus. They continue to drive, exploring, trying to take each other down, trying to see who's the fastest somewhere, and then we'll serve up some more gameplay, like a skill challenge or a speed challenge. And these are little nuggets of gameplay, which are only 30 seconds long, but they're a great sort of way to keep the players interested and keep it fresh.
What about things, obviously, because it's open world, navigation might become a problem, perhaps? How did you guys tackle that?
Yeah, so in Burnout Paradise, we had 8 finish points that all of the races ended at, and that we were aware of the problem of navigation. We felt that if you could learn these finish points, then you'll be okay. But this time, we've obviously built this road network to enable us to have a very easy to understand circuits and flow to them. We do use a checkpoint system. We don't use chevrons, but we have this in-world chevrons, no, not chevron, checkpoint system. We don't have chevrons. Checkpoints, which will keep you on track. So when you come up to a junction where we want you to turn right, we'll use a checkpoint to make it obvious where you've got to turn. Obviously, if the player's not paying attention, they could go the wrong way, but I kind of think that's part of the challenge. It's like knowing when to brake and how much to steer.